And Jesus forgives the man, and so he could walk. Now that big part about the forgiving the man is he forgave him for his sins to walk, and that's what healed him. So that's a big thing to pay attention to. So, do we have any questions before we start in 3?
Nah.
Okay. All right. So Jesus heals on the Sabbath day. Another time, Jesus went into the synagogue. A man with weak and twisted hands was there. Some Pharisees were trying to find fault with Jesus. They watched him closely. They wanted to see if he would heal the man on the Sabbath day. Jesus spoke to the man with the weak and twisted hand, stood up in front of everyone. He said, then Jesus asked them, what does the law say we should do on the Sabbath day? Should we do good or should we do evil? Should we save a life or should we kill? But no one answered. Jesus looked around them in anger. He was very upset because their hearts were stubborn. Then he said to the man, stretch out your hand. He stretched it out, and his hand had become as good as new. Then the Pharisees went out and began to make plans with the Herodians. They wanted to kill Jesus.
Who's the Pharisees? Remember it?
You know who they are.
Is
They're
it
the
the
priests
bad
and
guys?
everything. You know who they are. So the Pharisees are like the priests and the people that are pretty much in control of what God says at the time. And you know that. But it's a good question nonetheless. So crowds follow Jesus. Jesus went off to the Sea of Galilee with his disciples. A large crowd from Galilee followed. People heard about all that Jesus was doing, and many came to him. They came from Judah, Jerusalem, and Idumea. They came from the lands east of the Jordan River, and they came from the area around Tyre and Sidon. Because of the crowd, Jesus told his disciples to get a small boat ready for him. They would keep the people from crowding him. Jesus had healed many people, so those who were sick were pushing forward to touch him. When people controlled by evil spirits saw him, they fell down in front of him. The spirits shouted, "You are the Son of God." But Jesus ordered them not to tell people about him. So, Jesus appoints the 12 disciples. So Jesus went up on the mountainside. He called for certain people to come to him, and they came. He appointed 12 of them so that they would be with him. He would also send them out to preach, and he gave them the authority to drive out demons. So Jesus appointed the 12 disciples. Simon was one of them. Jesus gave him the name Peter. There was James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John. Jesus gave them the name Boanerges. I'm probably saying that wrong. I'm probably butchering it pretty bad, but Boanerges means son of thunder. There were also Andrew, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, and James, son of Alphaeus. And there were Thaddeus and Simon the Zealot. Judas Iscariot was one of them too. He was the one who was later going to hand Jesus over to his enemies.
It was a spoiler.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, you're right. Got called out on that one. Alright, so Jesus is accused by teachers of the law, which are the Pharisees and Sadducees. So, Jesus entered a house. Again, a crowd gathered. It was so large that the crowd and his disciples were not even able to eat. His family heard about this, so they went to take charge of him. They said, "He is out of his mind." Some teachers of the law were there. They had come down from Jerusalem. They said, "He is controlled by Beelzebul. He is driving out demons by the power of the prince of demons." So Jesus called them over to him. He began to speak to them using stories. He said, "How can Satan drive out Satan?" So right now they're accusing Jesus of being evil. That's how he's
Why?
casting out demons. So the demons are leaving because they're saying that he's the king of demons, pretty much. So it's not by God that he's saving them, it's by evil. So he says, how can Satan drive out Satan? So if a kingdom fights against itself, it can't stand. If a family is divided, it can't stand. And if Satan fights against himself and his helpers are divided, he can't stand. That is the end of him. In fact, none of you can enter a strong man's house unless you tie him up first. Then you can steal things from him in his house. What I'm about to tell you is true. Now, you know when Jesus says that, he's about to drop knowledge. What I'm about to tell you is true. Everyone's sins and evil words against God will be forgiven.
What?
But whoever speaks evil things against the Holy Spirit will never be forgiven. Their guilt will last forever. Jesus said this because the teachers of the law were saying he has an evil spirit. So, that's what he's saying is, they had evil in their hearts, and they're telling him that. That he's evil, but he's not. He's the Son of God. And he's like, everybody will be forgiven, but you guys need to fix yourselves. Alright, Jesus